Let's just all take a breath. Big inhale in through the nose. Even if your nose is stuffy like mine, and let it go. Hello. I'm so glad you guys are here today. I want to talk about something that is so freaking important, and I get asked questions around it all the time, and that's about self-love. Colette, I have a really hard time with the idea of self-love because I don't want to be selfish. I'm afraid that if I put myself first, the people in my life will sacrifice. They'll have to sacrifice. And that if I put myself first, I'm being selfish. I don't want to be selfish. I want to be a nice person. I want to take care of the people in my world. I want to show up for them. I want to be able to be there for them when they need me. And I think that if I put myself first, that's selfish. So what do I do? So we're going to dive into all of the ins and outs of self-love, selfishness, and self-sacrificing. What does it all mean? And what can I do differently so that I'm loving myself, but I'm not being selfish? Let's go there. Welcome to Empowered Now. I'm your host, Colette Kati. Join me as we talk all things to uplift, encourage, teach, inspire, and empower you to see your best self, to live your best life, and to thrive wherever you are. As I was preparing for this episode, I really tried to get into this version of myself that really embodied this and remembered feeling this way, because I was the type of person that, several years ago, I would put everybody else first. And I didn't even realize that I was doing it, but it's just how I showed love. That was my love language. Like, okay, you need something? Sure, I'll jump. I'll do it. I'll get it. I'll go for it. And I didn't realize at the time how it was actually very depleting for me to be putting everybody else first. And you might be in this position where you realize it, or maybe you don't realize it. But if you are self-sacrificing, if you're putting other people's needs above your own, you are going to notice maybe you have anxiety. Maybe you are tired and exhausted all the time. Maybe there's a feeling of overwhelm because of the sense of over-responsibility that you might be having over the people in your life. And I don't think that when I was there back then that I realized that I had over-responsibility and that I was self-sacrificing. I didn't realize that. I thought I was showing love. I thought that's what love does. Love gives of yourself and sacrifices to show the people around you that you love them. What do you think about that? Do you believe that? I often believed that myself. And I have since come to realize that I wasn't actually showing the best kind of love to the people around me. In fact, when we take over responsibility for other people, when we're allowing ourselves to be at the bottom of the list and we're experiencing overwhelm, we're experiencing burnout, exhaustion, and stress, that doesn't actually serve the people around me. Yes, I might be showing up for their needs so that their needs are coming first, but I'm not showing up as my best self. And that's what we're going to try to get to today. Okay, let's break down self-love, selfishness, and self-sacrificing just real quick to help us really hone in on what is the difference here. And it's subtle. It's a subtle difference that makes a huge impact. So if I am self-sacrificing, which means I'm putting other people's needs before my own, I'm on the bottom of the list, everybody else, and maybe there is a different hierarchy, maybe you're somewhere in the middle, but there's definitely a list above you. There's a definite list that is above you and your needs. You might not even realize it, but that's self-sacrificing. If you are noticing those feelings of anxiousness, burnout, stress, it might be a sign that you're somewhere in the bottom end of the list on your priorities. So that self-sacrificing says, you matter more than I do. And maybe it's not as far as to say I don't matter at all, but some of you might have that I don't matter at all. And everybody else matters more than me, because that's how I show love. That's me being noble and kind and generous. Everybody else comes first. You matter more than me. Now we move to selfishness. Selfishness is I matter more than you. I matter and you don't really matter. Yeah, maybe you matter a little bit, but like I am the most important. Let's be honest. I matter so much that I'm willing to have you suffer so that I don't have to suffer. It just feels better, right? That's selfishness. Okay? Okay, I have a lot more to say about that, and I'm excited about that. But when you move into self-love, it puts you all on equal ground. I matter, and you matter too. But notice the first one is I matter. You've got to know that you matter. You've got to know that your needs are the most important so that you can show up fully and let other people know that they matter. Okay? And I know I said that my needs are most important. So we're looking at a hierarchy, but really it's like we're all coming down off the ladder. When self-love is here, we're coming down off the ladder. And we're on this equal ground of I matter and you matter. But the truth is that I can't really show you that you matter unless I'm showing myself that I matter. And that comes first. It has to come first, because if you don't show yourself that you matter and you're constantly showing others they matter, then you're moving into self-sacrificing. Do we get the difference? Okay, it's subtle, but it's the intention that you're coming to your relationships with. And I'm including that relationship with yourself. I matter and you matter. And how can I live my life to show myself and to act in a way that I know that I matter? And then I can really show you that you matter. Okay, here is one part that might be kind of controversial. Is that how you say it? Controversial? Controversial. I don't know. I don't really care right now. So it's controversial. And I wasn't going to go here yet, but I really feel like I need to go here. And maybe that's where this episode goes today. Often, and this is where the self-love and selfishness get really muddled, okay? If you're somebody that believes, okay, I don't want to be selfish, but I get that I need to have self-love. I get that I need to take care of myself and put my needs, as maybe not above others, but like that's important. I need to take care of myself. But how do I get out of that idea that I'm being selfish and that I am hurting the people in my world when I put myself first? Because I feel guilty. I feel guilty when I put myself first and I put others' needs after that. That's weird for me. I don't like it. I don't like that feeling. Notice that feeling for you. How is that for you? If I show myself love, I get that I need to take care of myself. I get that I need to, maybe I do need to show myself more love. But if I'm putting myself first above other people, I feel like I'm being mean. I feel like I'm being selfish and I'm hurting them. I don't want to do that. Sometimes self-love is going to look and feel selfish. And that's not a bad thing. I want you to really get that today. And maybe a part of you's like, what? How is selfishness not a bad thing? Because maybe you've experienced true selfishness in your world. And I want to talk about this in the realm of addiction because I really understand it from that realm. And it can happen with any maybe unhealthy dynamic in a relationship with a parent or a child or, lover or whatever it is, we can get into these dynamics where one of you is being more selfish and one of you is being more self-sacrificing, where it's more of like, instead of a 50-50, you're in like a 80-20 type of dynamic where one is a more taker, the other is a more giver. And it's okay. I just want to normalize and acknowledge that this is okay. It's normal. But we don't want to live here. We don't want to stay here. Because if I am self-sacrificing, I'm a 20%er and I'm constantly giving up more air, figuratively speaking, in the room, I am giving and giving and giving, but I'm not pouring into myself, or I'm not taking in and receiving, allowing others to help me. I'm not doing those self-care things that are going to help me improve my well-being and my self-love. If I'm not really prioritizing, then I'm going to stay in a 20% where I'm going to constantly only be getting 20% of the air in the room. Notice that. You can't live on only 20% of air, okay? You need more air. You need to be able to breathe fully. I know I'm figuratively speaking here. It's just how you learn to get your needs met. If you're taking more and you're giving less, it's just a pattern. These are ways that we learn how to get our needs met. Taking less air in the room so that everyone's okay, or taking more air in the room so that there's safety and okayness in you. So you look at this dynamic, 20% versus 80%. It's harder for a 20%er to actually come up towards the other end than it is for an 80%er to come down and take less air in the room. It's actually harder. And so that's who I'm speaking to today. That's what I want to speak to, is that sometimes when you're moving into like being able to matter, being able to say, I matter and you matter, we both matter, you've got to learn to take more air in the room. And that's going to look and feel selfish because you're not used to it. It doesn't feel familiar. It feels foreign. Guilt is going to come up. Anxiety might come up. Feelings of self-doubt, self-judgment may come up because you have this idea that as I'm learning to matter and teach myself that I matter and take air in the room so I can breathe, I think I'm being mean. It kind of sounds ridiculous when you put it that way, doesn't it? You matter. So take some air, breathe it in. I say this and I know it's going to get some reaction from some people, but one of the biggest gifts I've had is being in a relationship with somebody who has been addicted. And I say that because I had to learn how to take more air in the room. I had to learn that. And I don't want to say anything against Shay because he's freaking amazing and I love him. But being with somebody who is in an addiction is so challenging because there's unhealthiness there. And there is, taking more air in the room. And if you're a giver and you're in a relationship with somebody who's addicted or narcissistic, or, there's lots of different scenarios. It's not just addiction, but you're going to be in that dynamic and you've got to learn to take more air. You've got to learn it so that you can survive. Okay? And what that looks like is setting boundaries. And I know boundaries is like the big B word. Like, what does that mean? What does that look like? How do I do that? And how do I get over that feeling that I'm being selfish and that I'm hurting people? And the truth is that if you're setting boundaries with somebody that is used to you not having them, it will look painful for them. It will look like you're being selfish. You may even get called selfish. But the truth is that you are becoming more healthy. You're learning to take more air. And you're actually helping that dynamic in the relationship so that the other person can learn what they need to learn. And that's to also have that self-love so that they are not taking. So that is another dynamic I want to address here with the self-love and selfishness dynamic. When somebody is actually showing like selfishness on a regular basis, it's often a lack of self that causes this. So I really want to zoom out for a second and go back to this concept that I'm always talking about, the inside out or the outside in approach versus the inside out. So the outside in approach is I am trying to make something outside of me or use something outside of me to create safety and comfort and ease within. That's often what selfish, air quotes, people are trying to do. They feel empty. There's an emptiness there and they're trying to fill it. And it's almost like they have to shut everybody out because they don't feel this safety and this wholeness within. So they have to say, nope, I don't care about you. I've got to do whatever it takes. I've got to grasp and pull and find and take whatever I need to so I can feel okay inside. This really makes me emotional because that's what selfishness is. And, there are people out there that manifest their selfishness in a very heinous way. And I totally understand that. And it's not okay. And I'm not saying that it's okay. But if you can understand that dynamic, it makes it easier to notice how freaking important it is to have self-love. Because if you are using the inside out approach, you're establishing the I matter within, then you're not going to be selfish. Do you get that? Selfishness is coming from that emptiness within. Self-love is coming from I am whole, I am okay, and I matter, and I'm worth it. And that's what feels expansive within. So you don't need to take, you don't need to grasp, you don't need to pull from other people because you've got it. You are whole within. You also don't need to self-sacrifice because you're not trying to make other people okay so that you can feel good inside. Do you see how self-sacrifice and selfishness are both a grasping without to fill a void within? I'm going to say that again. Self-sacrificing, putting other people first, and selfishness, putting yourself above everyone else. It's both grasping to fill that void within. But self-love says we all matter. And I know that I am whole. I know that I matter. I know that I'm worth it. I know that I'm enough. And I don't need anything outside of me to prove that to me. I don't need anyone to show that to me. I've got it. And that's when life gets really freaking good. That's when you can show up for people in a way that's authentic, in a way that feels good, in a way that's supportive for you and for them. It is a different way to live, and it's powerful. It's not just, self-love is not just about, let me take a bubble bath, let me, that's part of it, obviously, but, let me just, make sure that I'm eating a good meal or that I'm sleeping enough. That's definitely part of it. But self-love is a deep, deep inner knowing. That's what you will gain when you put loving yourself as your main priority. Do you get that? I want you to think about that again. I want you to rewind this episode and go listen to it again and notice the difference. It's huge, but it feels subtle, but it's huge. It makes a huge difference. It's where you're coming from. Okay, if you're listening to this episode and you're thinking, oh my gosh, that is me, either on the selfish side or the self-sacrificing side, and you're feeling empty, like, oh, I realize I need to establish this inside of me. Well, that's what I do. Come see me. I am now taking applications for my 6-month private coaching program, which is an in-depth, personalized approach to helping you break free, to helping you establish that authentic enoughness within you so that you can show up in your world with love, with power, with fun, with playfulness, with whatever it is you've been trying to create. I promise you that as you establish more self-love and empowerment within, your life is going to be so good. And it only blesses the people around you. It only helps. I promise you that. If you are interested in applying for this coaching program with me, it's a personalized approach to coaching. We're working very closely together. It's a private program, and it's designed to help you transform completely, to help you get to a place where you are now operating from a place of self-love, and it changes every part of your life. I promise you. If you're interested, go apply now. The link is in the description or in the show notes on Apple and Spotify. I've got more coming out in February. This is an incredible month for me. I've got some things that I'm ready to launch, so please stay tuned. And if you're not quite ready for coaching, don't worry. I've got some more stuff coming up in the works this year that you don't want to miss. I'll see you guys next time. In the meantime, love yourself. You are so worth it. Gorgeous. I love you. Bye. Thanks for watching Empowered Now. If anything you heard today resonated with you and you want more, please like and subscribe so that you won't miss an upload. You can also follow me on social media at Colette Kati. And if you're interested in working with me more closely through coaching or other opportunities, go to my website, ColetteKati.com. It is my hope that you will continue to come back and experience for yourself the benefits of choosing an empowered life. Your feedback and your experience are very important to me, so please take a moment to connect with me in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on today's episode, ideas for future topics, and ideas for guests that you would like to see. And as always, thanks for your time, support, and your courage to live empowered now.